Bon Iver is an American indie folk band founded in 2007 by singer-songwriter Justin Vernon. Vernon released Bon Iver's debut album, Forever Ago independently in July 2007. The majority of that album was recorded while Vernon spent 3 months in a cabin in northwestern Wisconsin. Bon Iver won the 2012 Grammy Awards for Best New Artist and Best Alternative Music Album for their album Bon Iver, Bon Iver. The name Bon Iver is derived from the French phrase bon hiver, meaning good winter, taken from a greeting on northern exposure. History: after the breakup of the band ɪťvɛər and Edison, a relationship, and a bout with mononucleosis hepatitis, Vernon left Raleigh, North Carolina, and moved back to Wisconsin to spend the oncoming winter months at his father's cabin in Dunn County, Wisconsin. According to Vernon, it was during this time that the Bon Iver moniker first entered his mind. While bedridden with mononucleosis hepatitis, he began watching the 1990s TV series Northern Exposure on DVD. One episode depicts a group of citizens in Alaska, where the show is set, emerging from their homes into the first snowfall of the winter and wishing one another Bon Iver. This was initially transcribed by Vernon as bone-ee-VARE. However, when he learned of its proper French spelling, he elected not to use it, deciding hiver reminded him too much of liver, the site of his illness at the time. On November 12, 2012, the band announced its intent to take a break from performing after its last event of his 2012 tour in Dublin. Their label asserts that the band is not broken up, however. On June 30, 2014, the band released a new song titled Heavenly Father, which is featured on the soundtrack of Zach Braff's new film Wish I Was Here. Forever Ago, Vernon did not intend to write or record any music during the time but rather to recuperate from the events of the previous year. Eventually a record began to evolve during this cathartic time of isolation. He had recently finished helping the band The Rosebuds do some recording and had with him some basic recording gear when he made his move to the cabin. Vernon played all the instruments during recording and each song was heavily edited with a large number of overdues. Vernon wrote the lyrics for the album by recording a wordless melody and listening to the recording over and over while writing words according to the sound of the syllables of the melody. In an interview, Vernon said, "Words like decision and intention aren't words that float in my head because I just went," Vernon explains. "I left North Carolina and went up there because I didn't know where else to go and I knew that I wanted to be alone and I knew that I wanted to be where it was cold." In another interview, Vernon describes what he used to record the album: "I had a very light setup, a basic small recording setup, a Shure SM57 and an old Silvertone guitar. I had my brother drop off his old drums. Some other small things are things I would make or find lying around." The record was almost not released and was originally intended as a group of demos to be sent out to labels and potentially re-recorded. But after getting very encouraging reactions from a number of his friends, Vernon decided to release the songs himself in their present state. According to his manager Kyle Frenette, an initial run of 500 CDs were pressed. The original CD release show took place at the House of Rock in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Justin played an earlier all-ages show and an evening 21+ show to release the original pressing of the album in its cardstock CD case. Of the 500 copies issued, 17 were sent to press, mainly blogs. The first significant attention the album received was from My Old Kentucky blog in June 2007, after which point it snowballed, according to manager Frenette. Another further breakthrough came when, in October 2007, the album received a very positive review from influential indie internet publication Pitchfork. That exposure in turn led to a performance the same month at the industry showcase festival CMJ Music Marathon. The appearance attracted a lot of label interest and Frenette later told Headquarters that they subsequently spoke to a lot of different record companies, both independent and major. Out of all of them they decided to sign with the indie Jaguar because their ideals were the closest match to their own. The signing was confirmed on October 29. Forever Ago was given an official release by Jaguar. Vernon has said that he will continue to make albums without engineers and producers because he is capable of doing it all himself. During this time the album was streamed in full on the social media site Vibe. Reception: since being released by Jaguar on February 19, 2008, Forever Ago has garnered critical acclaim. The album was released in the UK and Europe by iconic indie label 4AD on May 12, 2008. When released in the UK, Forever Ago received 5/5 and Album of the Month reviews in both Mojo and Uncut magazines. It was the 7th highest-rated album of 2008 on review aggregator site Metacritic, with accolades from publications including The Village Voice, The Hartford Courant and the AV Club. Pitchfork Media gave the album 29th place in its The Top 200 Albums of 2000s list, while Stereogum placed the album at 11 on its Best Album of the 2000s list. The digital download track Skinny Love was selected to be iTunes Single of the Week and was available for free during that time, as well as being featured as the track of the day on National Public Radio. Bon Iver was ranked number 8 on Last FM's Most Listened to New Music of 2008. Bon Iver's Forever Ago was ranked number 29 in Rolling Stone's list of the top 50 albums of 2008, and was also ranked number 92 on their list of the 100 best albums of the 2000s. In an interview, Vernon said, "I'm really humbled by everything and I'm keeping things in perspective." On May 19, 2008, Blindsided and Flume were featured in the CW series One Tree Hill. On October 6, 2008, Skinny Love was featured in the NBC series Chuck. On December 11, 2008, Bon Iver performed Skinny Love on The Late Show with David Letterman. On January 26, 2009, Skinny Love was announced at No. 21 by the Australian national radio station Triple J in the annual Hottest 100 countdown of the previous year's best songs. In July 2009, Skinny Love was announced at No. 92 in Triple J's Hottest 100 of All Time countdown. Additionally, the track Flume has been used by the BBC to advertise their Jimmy McGovern pen drama series The Street. The track Blood Bank was used in a 2009 episode of the NBC series Chuck, and the track Creature Fear was used in another Chuck episode. The track Skinny Love was featured in another episode of Chuck, as well as in the ABC drama Grey's Anatomy. The Wolves was used in the first season of The United States of Tara. Stax was featured in the Fox drama House, as was Flume on May 16, 2011. Stax was also used for the closing sequence of the Silent Witness episode Death Has No Dominion, and Woods was used in the 8th episode of Skin's third series and appeared on the Series 3 soundtrack. In 2008 Bon Iver designed a T-shirt for the Yellow Bird Project, with all profits benefiting the Interval House Women's Shelter in Toronto, Ontario. In October 2009, Bon Iver first appeared on the cover of the publication The Fader, in its 64th issue. In 2009 Bon Iver, along with St. Vincent, contributed the song Rosalind to the New Moon soundtrack. Bon Iver also contributed W.I. to the AIDS benefit album Dark Was the Night produced by the Red Hot Organization. In 2010 Bon Iver collaborated with Kanye West on the track Lost in the World, which begins with a sample of the Bon Iver track Woods. He also contributed vocals to the West tracks Monster and Dark Fantasy, both featured on West's critically acclaimed album My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Then, in March 2011, Justin Vernon performed at SXSW with Good Music. This collaboration publicized him to a wider audience. Bon Iver was released on June 17, 2011. On March 23, 2011, Justin Vernon told Rolling Stone that a follow-up of Forever Ago would be released in December 2011. The album is composed of 10 songs and takes a new musical direction. I brought in a lot of people to change my voice not my singing voice, but my role as the author of this project, says Vernon, who hired well-known players like bass saxophonist Colin Stetson and pedal steel guitarist Greg Lees. I built the record myself, but I allowed those people to come in and change the scene. The second album is described as an ambitious musical departure from the first. Prior to the album's release, Vernon said that each song on the new album represents a place. The song Perth was described as a Civil War-sounding heavy metal song, The song Minnesota, WI was described as featuring finger-picked guitars, double bass drums and distorted bass saxophone, and the closing song Beth Rest would be horn-heavy. The album was recorded in a remodeled veterinarian clinic in Fall Creek, Wisconsin, which was bought by Vernon and his brother in 2008. It was converted into April Bass Studios, built mainly over the defunct swimming pool attached to the clinic. Vernon's reason for recording in the location was that, "It's been a wonderful freedom, working in a place we built. It's also only 3 miles from the house I grew up in, and just 10 minutes from the bar where my parents met." On April 20, Bon Iver announced details of the release through the official Jag-Jaguar and 4AD websites. The artwork for the album was also released, painted by the American artist Gregory Euclid. Gregory also released 2 YouTube videos entitled The Making of Bon Iver Album Art. Over 1 month before the album release date, the album was accidentally made available for purchase on the iTunes Music Store on May 23. Apple removed the item from the store, but not before a handful of users were able to purchase and download it. There was no comment from Apple, the artist, or his label. However, the lyrics to the album were promptly uploaded to their record site. In an interview on 89.3 The Current, frontman Justin Vernon was questioned about current plans for the band and expressed their desire to take a break. "We're winding it down. I look at it like a faucet. I have to turn it off and walk away from it because so much of how that music comes together is subconscious or discovering. Theory a unregistered trademark has so much attention on the band, it can be distracting at times. I really feel the need to walk away from it while I still care about it. And then if I come back to it if at all I'll feel better about it and be renewed or something to do that." During the last performance of their 2012 tour in Dublin's The O2, Vernon announced that this was to be their last performance as a band. At least for a while. While these 2 events have provoked speculation as to whether this is a definite end to the band or simply a hiatus, a representative for Bon Iver's label, Jag-Jaguar, issued the statement they are just going off cycle after 2 very busy years on this record. Reception: Josh Jackson reviewed Bon Iver for Paste, saying, "It retains the beautiful melancholy of Forever, but in nearly every way, it unregistered trademark is just more layered, more diverse, more interesting. He brings in collaborators to do what they do best, but never at the expense of his sound and vision. It treads into new sonic directions without getting lost." He gave the album a score of 9 out of 10. In late August 2011, critically acclaimed English post-dubstep musician and singer-songwriter James Blake uploaded a track called Fall Creek Boys Choir to his YouTube channel. The track was a collaboration with Bon Iver. The track was released as the first single from Blake's EP Enough Thunder and was also included on the deluxe edition of his self-titled debut album. On December 15, 2011, Pitchfork.com awarded Bon Iver the #1 album of 2011. On November 30, 2011, the band earned 4 nominations for the 54th Grammy Awards, Best New Artist, Best Alternative Music Album for their album Bon Iver, and both Song of the Year and Record of the Year for Holocene. On February 12, 2012, Bon Iver won the Grammy for Best New Artist. Bon Iver also won the Grammy for Best Alternative Album for Bon Iver, beating out Radiohead, Death Cab for Cutie, Foster the People and My Morning Jacket. On February 15, 2012, a 5-song studio session was released on YouTube, featuring Justin Vernon and Bon Iver drummer Sean Carey performing piano renditions of the tracks. The recording took place at AIR studio-owned Lyndhurst Hall in London, England. Live performance: Justin Vernon is joined live by Sean Carey, Michael Noyce and Matthew McCorn. Noyce was Vernon's guitar student during high school. Carey approached Vernon during one of the first Bon Iver shows, telling him he could play and sing all the songs. Thereafter, the 2 played a number of them together. McCorn and Vernon met while on tour with indie rock band The Rosebuds in May 2007. Because of the extensive use of vocal harmony on the songs of Forever Ago, Vernon was concerned that there would not be enough voices to duplicate the sound of the songs on the album in a live setting. To compensate for this problem in early performances, Vernon passed out lyrics for some songs to the audience to sing along to. In an interview with Pitchfork, Vernon described this dilemma. "I don't want to be the guy with an acoustic guitar singing songs, because that's boring for the most part. The song actually needs 80 euro 500 people singing or whatever the vibe is of that room, it needs that fight." Bon Iver performed at Lollapalooza 2009. Bon Iver has also performed at Austin City Limits Music Festival, Glastonbury, Coachella, ɪťvɛər, Way Out West, Bonnaroo and Saskatchewan, among others. After the release of Bon Iver's sophomore album, the live performances underwent a great deal of change. With older performances consisting of Vernon playing guitar, while Noyce, Carey, and McCorn varied instruments, the concerts following Bon Iver involved a much larger, full band. The new lineup consisted of the original 4 musicians, and included Rob Moose on violin and guitar, Mike Lewis on bass, and a horn section including Reginald Pace, Colin Stetson and C.J. Camerieri as well. On February 2, 2012, Saskatchewan announced Bon Iver as a headliner for the 2012 festival. Discography. Studio albums: Forever, Forever Ago, Bon Iver, EPs, Blood Bank, Awards, Grammy Awards, Brit Awards, MTV Video Music Awards Japan. References. External links: official website,